Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and as promised, daily content. So this is the first week where I've said you're going to start getting content every day, definitely Monday to Friday, probably one day at the weekend, but if we can fit in both days of the weekend, we will. So there we are. Welcome back to the channel, guys, with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. This is Speaking Spurs coming at you. I have picked out some stories from the day. Obviously, when you support a football team, especially like Tottenham, with the amount of ups and downs we have, there is going to be daily stories coming out of the club, whether that be controversies, transfers, players that are unhappy, fans that are unhappy, comments from pundits, ex-players, things like that. So what I've done, I've had a look at all the news from today and handpicked some of the stories that I wanted to talk to you about. Obviously, we don't know how true these are, whether we can take them with a pinch of salt, whether we can run away with it. But, you know, that's for us to decide and see how it goes on in the coming days. So let's start with a possible addition at centre-back. So as we know, we were probably looking at bringing in two centre-backs. In the end, we only brought in Christian Romero, who's looking like he could be a very good player. Although, worryingly, he was limping a few times at the weekend. Nuno did say, certainly in the beginning of his Spurs career, in the games he's played, he's not managed to come through pain-free. And it looks as though, again, he hasn't come through pain-free. Time to recover, though, before our next game. Obviously, he's got the international break. We'll discuss in another video exactly what's going to happen with those players heading off on international duty. Maybe I'll do that one tomorrow. We'll talk about exactly who's going where and what that means in terms of isolation and things like that. But yes, we wanted to bring in at least a second centre-back. We're having to rely on Eric Dyer and Sanchez, who hadn't been too bad, to be fair, as the season has started. Rodon certainly is one for the future. I don't know how much involvement he's going to have this season, but it just seems strange that when Ryan Mason took over, he kind of pushed Rodon to one side. And this is a guy who's an international for Wales on a regular basis now. Pushed him to one side. Then Nuno's come in and very much hasn't used him either. So I don't know what's going on there. There must be a reason behind it. There must be something they're seeing that we're not. Even though when we see him play, we're certainly happy with him and what he's given. But, you know, they've got to base it on what they see in training on a day-to-day basis. Maybe he's not the best trainer, as we saw with Dele Alli, which was noted in the Spurs documentary by Jose Mourinho. We're also looking at many players. It just never came off. I think we ran out of time in the end. So, you know, Dyer's been doing a reasonable job. Sanchez was doing okay. But certainly I think we're going to look to bolster that area, and we could potentially see somebody else go out the door. And that really comes down to the guy I'm going to talk about. But before we hit that, there's a 3-man shortlist apparently that have been put together of Lacroix. I don't know. Depends how you want to pronounce it. Lacroix. My pronunciation on these things is a bit useless. Then Milenkovic and Skriniar. All three of those are players that I touched upon during the summer transfer window. Now, the problem with those, look, 3 fantastic players. However, they are either young and pricey or older, experienced stars within a club that are going to command big fees, money that we really haven't got to spend at the moment in this climate, unless we shift people out the door for decent fees. But, you know, seeing as the season that we've just had, the fact that we've only made Europa Conference League means the value of our players has kind of dropped, and then we're searching after players that are kind of on the rise or at established clubs. So, you know, Skriniar would be a great one to get in the door for his experience, his leadership. Milenkovic, I think, is very talented, and Lacroix, whatever. He's a very talented young player. Good pace on him for a centre-back as well. Big future ahead of him. However, there is an alternative that we can look at. Barcelona, as we know, have fallen on hard times, which is why we were able to get the Emerson Royale deal over the line. Certainly a move they might not have wanted to have happened, but they needed the money. So that guy we're talking about is the 27-year-old centre-back Samuel Umtiti. Has the potential. I know he's 27. You might see me sitting there talking about potential, thinking, well, how can he have potential at that age? Look, the thing is, he was signed by Barcelona. he hasn't had a great deal of playing time since the 2017-2018 season. He hasn't actually completed more than 20 appearances in a season. However, let's not forget the fact that he has 31 appearances for France. So he's a full-blooded international, talented player. Just hasn't had the rub of the green. Now, Barcelona wanted to get rid of him in the summer, mainly because of wages, to get off the bill. They also needed to bring money in with the transfer fee. He refused. He wanted to stick out, keep his place, was probably enjoying the money he was on. And then since then, has not featured a single minute under Ronald Koeman. Now, Barcelona is a very unhappy place to be at the moment. They're struggling on the pitch. They're definitely struggling off the pitch. Ronald Koeman, as much as the Barcelona would probably love to sack him right now, they can't because it's going to cost them so much money to get rid of him. It just makes more sense to keep him. They can't take any more hits. So there is a chance we could get him for a very, very good price. Now, that's not... It's a double-edged sword. It's a risk in a sense because he hasn't played a lot of football. However, with the talent that we've seen over the years from him, and if we can get him for the right fee, I don't think it's too much of a risk. So that's one to look out for potentially January. Now, talking about one of our own players potentially on the move, Harry Winks. Obviously, we know, academy boy. And I think it's a bit split between Spurs fans. He's somebody that's in sort of like the hearts of some of us because we've seen him come through the ranks, seen him have some great days for Spurs. And I know I've mentioned it a few times now, but he completely dominated Real Madrid in the Champions League, home and away. But he's been off the boil for a couple of seasons now. I don't really know the reason why. The quality is in there. I don't understand where it's gone. And it's to the point where Oliver Skipp, another academy graduate, has overtaken him. And it's one of them where do we want to see him go? Not really. He's a homegrown talent. You know, he can make up the numbers in the squad. He knows the ins and outs of the club. However, at some point, he either needs to push on and get back to the Harry Winks he could be, or, you know, for his own sake, he needs to move on. He needs playing time. He's never going to get back into that England squad whilst he's stuck at Spurs sitting behind Oliver Skipp. He's certainly not going to push Højbjerg out of the team. And then he's got other competition in midfield as well coming through. So maybe it's the right time for him to move. Now, there is interest apparently from Roma, so he could link up with Jose Mourinho, who is somebody also that didn't give him loads and loads of game time. However, the Italian league is not as good from top to bottom as the Premier League. A bit of a slower pace in a sense. You know, they tend to have older centre-backs, so it's all about real good, sturdy defending. Midfielders get a bit more time on the ball. Winksy would probably suit Serie A down to the ground. He could do very well in a league like that, which Mourinho will know. You know, the fact he's taken Tammy Abraham over there, who, you know, wasn't getting enough game time in the Premier League. He's doing very well. Mourinho's not a silly guy. Inter Milan also want Winksy, and this is something that we can potentially play on. Whether it's initially loan deals that could become permanent, or they just do a swap, or there's just something where we pay a reduced fee for Brozovic and put Winksy in the deal. So Brozovic, we've been after for a while, looking at 28 years old now, however, still a fantastic player. So this will be a chance for Winks to get game time, because if Brozovic is going out the door, Winksy will probably get more game time anyway over there. Brozovic comes to us, that sorts out a problem for us, gives us a bit of experience. The only problem with that is Manchester United and PSG are both looking at Brozovic, so we're up against Champions League teams. So to get him in January, I think is going to be hard. If it comes to the end of the season and we manage to push ourselves up to at least Europa League or the Champions League itself, then I think we've got a better case on our hands, because ultimately Brozovic is, if he's going to get promised football at United or PSG, he's going to go for them over us without a doubt. So I think it's one where he will seriously have to sit down with himself, his agent, his family, and weigh it up. I don't even know if it's something that Inter Milan will be interested in. However, there is a chance that we could get this one if they really do want Winksy. We got something tempting to put in the deal, in their corner, tempt them. So I thought that one was interesting, thought I'd bring it to you. Now, for another target that we had throughout the summer that it didn't work out, Dusan Vlahevich from Fiorentina. Obviously, we know, very talented forward, had a very good season. Now, He's been offered a contract by them. There's two reasons he could have been offered this contract. One, they want to be able to inflate his fee. So his contract runs out in 2023. So they've tried to offer him a new contract, which he has rejected. So I'm assuming they're either trying to nail him down so they can have a similar situation that we got with Harry Kane, where you can say, unless somebody's going to pay a ridiculous fee, we say no, we keep you. So it's a way of keeping him at the club for longer, securing their future, or it's just the fact that they want a higher fee to come in, get rid of him, and then they can reinvest in the squad. So clever from them. However, Vlahevich has turned it down, which will definitely put clubs on high alert. He was Paratici's number one target throughout the summer. And I'm assuming that we actually thought Harry Kane was going to stay the whole time. The reason we couldn't get a striker deal over the line is because we waited too long with the Harry Kane thing to be sorted. And there must have been other reasons why it didn't happen. And on top of that, Vlahevich probably would have been worried coming to a club where he's not guaranteed to be number one, because he certainly is that at Fiorentina. So it's always a big risk for a guy like him. I mean, it's an exciting one, exciting talent. Would I love to see him come in the door? Of course I would. Not necessarily to be back up to Harry Kane, but to play alongside Harry Kane. I feel like there are times where we need two strikers on the pitch. And for me, Sonny coming inside is not the answer. I much prefer him when he's out on that wing, cutting inside, making things happen, being a menace and dragging players around. Vlahevich, I would love to come in. So we're going to face competition from Manchester City and Juventus. Manchester City, as we know, are playing still without a striker. Gabriel Jesus, granted, is meant to be a striker, but he keeps being deployed from wide. They keep playing with false number nines. Grealish has had to go up top. Foden was up top at spells at the weekend. A talented squad, and they clearly don't need a striker. But, you know, if they got a striker in the door, someone lethal like a Harry Kane, a Vlahevich, it would definitely set them in good stead. Something they're missing. So expect competition from them. Now, another player, again, I believe I spoke about him in the summer as well, Weston Mckinney. He's the 23-year-old Juventus and USA international. Us and West Ham are set to battle out for his signature. Very talented midfielder. I love the way he plays. He's fast becoming one of the best senior players in the USA international squad. I don't know when this is likely to happen. Certainly someone we were looking at in the summer. Will we go in for a bid in January? Will we wait till the end of the season? Definitely a nice one to keep an eye on. He's an exciting young midfielder. Now, one other transfer before I move on to the last piece is we have interest in signing a River Plate forward, Julian Alvarez. I believe he's somebody that has been on the radar of quite a few clubs recently, and I think there's a reluctance to sign him. He's only 21 years old, and I feel like the reluctance comes from a couple of places. Like, one, he's young. Two, the Argentinian league is... I don't want to be disrespectful because there are some good teams in the Argentinian league, but compared to the Premier League, it's just a different kettle of fish. And it's hard. You see a lot of players from Brazil, Argentina, they head across to teams like Shakhtar Donetsk or they head over to Russia. So they tend to test themselves other places in Europe before they end up coming across to, say, Germany, the Premier League, France, Italy, Spain. They tend to go a little bit further afield first. So I think had he moved across to Europe, to one of the, say, smaller leagues there that might be on par with the Argentinian league and tested himself, we could be looking at a different case. However, there's no getting away from the fact that he looks a good player. He's young, he's talented, he's got 7 goals and 4 assists so far this season, and that's in 11 appearances. But as I said, the problem is, you know, it's the league he comes from, but there are teams that are interested in him other than us. So Aston Villa, another team in our league that are looking at him. However, I don't know why they'd really go in for him yet when they've got such talent of Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings. Is Alvarez likely to want to go to Aston Villa and sit on the bench for them? I don't know. Dortmund and Leverkusen from Germany are having a look at him, and reports that Sevilla are as well having a look, and maybe AC Milan, I think, are the other one. He's got a 21.3 million release clause. Now that's in pounds. So not overly expensive for a guy of his age and his supposed talent. He's been putting some incredible performances in. I've had a look at some footage, and I know, yes, anyone can look good on YouTube. I'm sure with me in Sunday League, you could take my best moments from games and I would look like a half decent player. But the fact is, we're talking about professional level athletes now. He looks good. We'll see how that one develops. Right, now for the last piece of information. I'm sure you guys have heard, seen, read about it. It's that clause that has been inserted into Nuno's contract. So we signed him on a 2-year deal, which is, yes, very short term and doesn't actually show a lot of faith in him. But considering the roller coaster we've been on since we let Pochettino go, you can understand the caution, especially with the stadium, the money that we've lost, and we need to really, really establish ourselves. So to tie people down to long contracts is not in our best interest, because if they need to go, we end up having to whack them on gardening leave till they find another job, or they end up having like a mutual termination and there's a whack load of money that goes their way. So in his 2-year deal, there is a clause that says if he does not finish in the top 6 in his first season, we can part ways if we want to without having to pay him any extra money. Now, he's obviously signed that in good faith, and I don't see why not, because there's a possibility that could have been a stumbling block that if he doesn't sign it, he doesn't become manager of Tottenham Hotspur, he stays out of work for longer, which doesn't help him in the long run. So I think he signed that in good faith because, as a decent human being, a sportsman, a competitive human being, you've got to back yourself. So that clause really shouldn't put him off whatsoever, because if he believes in his ability as a manager and feels like he can compete at this high level within the Premier League, then why not agree to it? So it's great for all parties, because for us, it means there's not too much financial commitment if it goes wrong. For him, it can just be over and done with, walk away and move on to the next. So it's a bit of a strange one. Does that fill me with confidence that the club are confident in him? No, it doesn't. And if the players know about this clause as well, can that cause a bit of unrest and disbelief in the manager? Possibly. There certainly are reports coming out this week saying that there's some sort of unrest within the squad, players not feeling like he communicates enough with them on, more of a small talk level. He's just a manager and that's it. And I think they want more from him. And certainly from his interviews, he speaks well in certain ways, but the thing that annoys me is that he won't be drawn on individuals. He's very much refuting to give anything back when journalists ask about individuals, whether it be good or bad. So, I think he needs to open up a bit more to win us fans over. It's all well and good telling us that everything's going to be okay, that we're going to work on certain things, that we want to win. When things aren't going well, you kind of want to know a little bit more, and that brings you closer to the manager to understand why things aren't working. I get lots of stuff has to stay behind closed doors, but we need a little bit more. I think with Mourinho at times we either got nothing or too much. Ryan Mason was a bit of without being disrespectful, was kind of a well-trained media puppet. I did feel sorry for him because he had to bat away a lot of questions about Harry Kane's future, the Jose Mourinho stuff. He had the cup final, being Spurs' youngest manager. There was so much on his plate, but he'd kind of become like a media robot where he was just bam, 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 just the next game. I'm only talking about the next game. I'm not talking about anything else, yada, yada, yada. So I feel like we need Nuno to open up a little bit more on certain things just to win us over, because at the moment it just seems like he's very cagey. He doesn't want to talk about things. I know it's from a respect point of view, but sometimes you've got to take a few more risks, because us as sporting fans and the love that we have for the club, we need a bit more emotion, a bit more of a human reaction and interaction with us. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed getting some extra content that's not just about up-and-coming fixtures and player ratings and performances. Something I am going to chuck in as videos. Obviously, that I do. I talk about the analysis of the games, and I tend to talk about individual players and how they played. So alongside that, a few of you have requested that I do a player ratings video, which I'm going to do. The only reason I was reluctant to put my player ratings in there is I know everybody disagrees on these, and as much as I love all my subscribers, I'm slightly terrified of the battering you're going to give me based on that. But what the hell, let's do it. I'm going to start doing player ratings videos, and I welcome you and really hope you get involved and put your player ratings in there as well on those videos. I want to hear what you think, because the idea of this is we have healthy debates. I don't want to argue with Spurs fans. We all support one club. We should be behind the players, the manager as much as we can, but also as a fan base, we need to be behind one another and support the club in the best way possible. So you'll get player ratings videos as well, all right? So thanks for sticking around today for your second video in 2 days. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Let's get ourselves over that 1,000 subscriber mark so I can get some of you guys on the channel. We can do that via things like Zoom, Skype calls. I can even do pre-recorded, edit it and then whack it up, all right? But I do want to get some of you guys involved, and there's a few of you that have been around since pretty much the beginning of this channel and have supported very well. So, you know, you'll be the first guys I'll be asking. I won't just be trying to bring in loads of other experienced YouTubers that have got their own channels. Obviously, I would love to collab with some of these guys. That'd be brilliant. But ultimately, you know, I want to bring on people that have supported the channel, people that have got good views. We'll have a discussion and see how things go, all right? So subscribe to the channel, like the videos, put your comments below. I'll get back to you, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. You're going to wish you never asked for more content, because you're going to be so sick of me by the end of the week. But, you know, some of these will be small. Obviously, I've waffled on a bit today because I had quite a bit to talk about, but I'll just make sure that we snip them down in the future. But thanks for sticking around. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care, and come on, you Spurs.